Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast Strikes Back. My name is George and you're listening to our weekly show Top 8, where we break down this week's biggest stories. And Star Wars, baby, are you going to be all right? We're going to be talking about it with the boys. Connor.
Hello.
Benny.
Hey there. I think it's the top one this week.
Yep.
Really.
I think we're going to be dedicating a lot of time to that story.
We made a mistake. We kind of asked for a bigger news week after last week, and I think this might be our fault.
Sorry, guys.
This makes the Snyder DC story okay and reasonable.
This is like the hardcore version of that one.
Yeah. Anyway, before we get into the news, let's talk about how your weeks have been, because this is kind of like a bit of a counseling session as well as a podcast.
It's been a bit hard, George. It's been a bit tough.
What about you, George? You never get to go first.
What have I been watching? You put me on the spot. I've been playing ARMS.
Oh, yeah, you have.
The Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, we had last week we did an E3 wrap-up episode, so I've kind of been in Nintendo mode, and I picked up ARMS, and
Awesome.
I was really, really loving it. And then I invited you guys over, and Connor started whooping my ass like 3 times after he played it. And I was like,
flawless
damn,
victories.
Damn it. Yeah, you got it perfect.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of
that.
So it was a short ARMS career for George.
You didn't seem so keen on it after that. That was weird.
No, but it's a really fun game. I think the mechanics are just polished, nicely put together game, and fighting games. I'm not into fighting games most of the time, especially your Tekkens, Dead or Alive, those kind of things.
Yeah, me either.
And I think this one has a bit of X factor, and the timing aspect of it makes it a little more interesting than those games, rather than just button mashing combos and whatnot. So. Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving that there's some more software coming out for the Switch.
It's good to see him working on some new IPs, Nintendo as well.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah. So what about you guys? You been watching any movies, TV shows, games, comic books?
Yeah, I rewatched 2 films. First, I watched...
Here we go.
I always do. First one was Whiplash, which is just... It's a fucking
The
amazing
Miles Teller one?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
good.
Damien Chazelle's Whiplash, very nice.
That is an amazing movie. J.K. Simmons, Miles Teller.
Yeah. I'm not sure, I feel like that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, see it. If you have
See
seen
it,
it, you
yeah.
know what I'm talking about. It's an excellent film.
And I went, in high school, I was in the high school orchestra, and I know the feeling of the conductor calling you out and saying, play that,
Yeah.
play your section,
Yeah.
play bar 18 to 26.
I hope your high school conductor wasn't that bad.
No, because I think I would be traumatized.
Yeah.
We had a crazy high school conductor that I think he turned a bass amp up to 10 and stuck in a metronome and basically blasted our ears out.
Wow.
Cool.
It was intense. I was like, oh, this guy's going to kill us.
But did you get
Oh, yeah, we
better?
were we were great.
Well, there you go,
Yeah.
mate.
Now you're
Come on.
amazing at the clarinet.
Yeah.
It's pity you can't hear
actually.
anymore.
Thank you. The other one was I watched Mad Max, the Chrome edition. So this is the black and white.
Oh, how was
version.
that?
Silver and Chrome.
Silver and Chrome. Yes, thank you. I love that film, and I don't think it added anything to the film, but it didn't take it away. Like I enjoyed it, in a bit of a different way. But I don't know if I'd bother watching it in black and white again. Like if I had the choice, I'd probably go color.
Yeah, I saw it on the cinemas in black and white, and if I was watching it again, which I absolutely will do, I think that's one of the best movies ever made. I'd go color. But I thought it was a really cool experience just seeing it like that, and just amazing seeing how it really felt like it was shot to be in black and white, like how good it looked in black and white, which is something not a lot of films I think will really translate to.
There were certainly some scenes where it looked probably cooler in black and white. They were far and in between, but there were certain scenes where I'm like, oh, I'm really glad I got to see that in black and white.
I think the whole middle section of the film, where in the color version it's just kind of blue. I think in black and white that worked really well.
Yeah.
I don't know. So much of that film, the thing that appeals to me about that film is the color palette.
Yeah.
And the style. And losing that, I think it would be an interesting experience. But from what you guys are saying, kind of seems like a bit of a redundant experiment. Like it's cool. Yeah, go check it out. But the real Mad Max experience is the one that was presented to us in
Yeah,
the
it's not
cinemas.
necessary viewing.
I think you'd be shocked though at how powerful the film still is. Like just watching it in the cinema like that.
I'm sure.
was fucking,
But just the sound
that
design
movie.
in that film was incredible.
Junkie XL did some hell of a job on that one.
Have you seen his behind the scenes stuff of him in his studio?
Yeah.
It's amazing. He's got like all these old, like 40 or 50 vintage synthesizers. Love Junkie XL.
I have to watch that movie with like headphones on, like good headphones,
Yep.
or like just the music cranked up in surround sound. Because I remember the first time I watched it at home, like after seeing it at the theater, and I was so completely underwhelmed because I remember being in the theater and having that noise come out. Like I came out of that theater the first time like shaking.
Feel it in your bones.
Yeah, it was just out of this world, and then to kind of the second time seeing it like on this, just it's not comparable to have it on the little TV speaker.
Yeah.
So I've got to watch it in the right circumstances.
Ben, what 3 pieces of media have you been watching?
Playing, reading.
I have 3. So I watched Rough Night.
The Scarlett Johansson
last
one?
week. Yeah,
How was that?
I really enjoyed it. It was not a great movie, but as comedies go, I mean, they're so hit and miss, and I laughed.
Cool.
I laughed quite a lot. I thought it was
Was it
very
kind of
fun.
like
Good.
Weekend at Bernie's?
No, not at all. The trailers were very misleading. That bit where they're like driving down the street with him and they're in a parade or something, not in the movie at all.
Okay,
It's actually not in the movie. But just such a great cast. Like it was really cool to see Scarlett doing something a little different than the kind of stoic badass she's always playing. And Ilana Glazer from Broad City is fucking great. And Kate McKinnon from SNL and the last Ghostbusters movie, she is fucking hysterical.
I love Kate
that
McKinnon.
woman so much.
She is so good.
She's playing an Australian in this film. And her accent is like, it's a great performance. The accent's not always on point. It has a few of those kind of American trying to do an Australian accent things that you hear on, The Simpsons and stuff. But when it works so well. She's so funny.
Let's go check it out. I kind of discarded that one.
Have a few beers and watch it. I
Cool.
really enjoyed it. I also saw...
Twist my arm, mate. Twist my arm.
And Jillian Bell is in that as well, and she's from Workaholics. Which
she
is
she is very funny in
She's
this one
so
as well.
good.
She kind of steals the show. I saw also Una, starring Rooney Mara and Ben Mendelsohn,
Yeah.
Australia's own Ben Mendelsohn.
Ben, what a guy.
Ben
This is the best we got, mate.
Scary fella.
That looks like it's got some pretty troubling content in it.
Parental guidance recommended.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. It was okay. It was very much felt like a play adapted into a film. It's obviously it's a hot button issue. It's very controversial stuff, but the movie itself was fine. I did have a few people walk out of the session I was in, which was wholly
I'm sure.
expected.
Yeah.
And also I've been catching up on finally Adventure Time,
Okay.
season 8.
Isn't it wrapping up soon?
Season 9 is going to be the last one, yeah. And I just finished watching, season 8 has a mini-series in it called Adventure Time Islands, which reveals a whole hell of a lot of backstory, answers a lot of questions that have been there since episode 1, season 1.
Cool.
I'm so fucking back on board with Adventure Time right now.
Okay,
Because I've been watching the show for 8
Yeah,
years,
me too.
and it is the slowest burn of a show I've ever seen. It's like season 4 or something when you find out that this is like a post-apocalyptic world. And it's just, you finally find out some stuff about where Finn came from and what happened to the humans in Oo.
Wow.
It is hilarious. It is very emotional. It is just, it knocked it out of the
There was that
fucking
one
park.
episode, I think it was in season 4, it was a 2-parter, and he kind of goes into this other dimension.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Yeah.
Insane episode, insane concepts, presentation. It felt wacky, and this is a kid show. Dark.
Yeah.
I've never seen a single episode of Adventure Time. I feel like it's just one of those massive properties that's just kind of skipped over me. Like
I can't. It blows my mind. It's 8 seasons now. I feel like it started 2 years ago or something. It's crazy.
I feel like I'll have time to catch up on it, and then you just said like 8 seasons. I'm like, oh, maybe I don't have time to catch up on that.
It's so good, man.
Oh, it's great. It's so good to binge because this is little 11-minute episodes. They're very different from one another.
Okay, I do love to binge.
Yeah. Anyway, that's me for the week.
Should we move on
Let's get into
to
the
our
news.
top 8?
Our top 1.
Top 1, really.
So I think we're going to be spending a lot of time on top 1.
So if you don't like Star Wars, just skip to the 50-minute mark.
Yeah.
'cause-
All right, as it has been alluded to, our number 1 story: Sony confirms Spider-Man
Hey.
Our number one story is Phil Lord and Chris Miller are no longer directing the Han Solo Star Wars spin-off.
You're fired.
Holy shit. Kathleen Kennedy took out an axe, beheaded them both on live TV. It was horrifying to watch. Said, this is what happens when you fuck with Star Wars.
So this, for those who don't know, kind of the way this is all unfolded was earlier in the week, the statements came out from both parties, and it seemed amicable, creative differences. But the weird thing about this one was those creative difference things that normally happens in pre-production or it happens in the first week of filming. This one has 3.5 weeks left of principal photography remaining.
They started in
February. So that's a long time to be running its course, spending a ton of money on a production, and then say, oh, yeah, this isn't working out, so we're going to part ways. So there was something fishy going on. And then the next day, it came out they got fired.
Yeah.
It's like ditching someone at the altar.
Yeah.
It's waiting a bit too long.
And then since then, we've heard that Ron Howard has come on board and he will be picking up directing duties.
Nice guy, Ron Howard. No one could be angry about that.
So here's one of the interesting things, and I think this is why it was kind of allowed to go so far before something happened, is from all the reports, everything that they had produced so far, or all the principal photography that they had released was really good. So they'd get the dailies, they'd check out the dailies and be like, this is fucking awesome. This all looks really good. And it wasn't until someone started piecing together kind of the movie in a first draft sense that people looked at it and went, this doesn't look like a cohesive story. And that's apparently where Kathleen Kennedy stepped in and was like, no, this is not the vision that we wanted. Sort your shit out. And that's when she asked for reshoots. And both Phil and Chris said, we'll do reshoots, but only if we're allowed to do the reshoots the way that we want to do them.
Yes.
And that's where apparently the last straw kind of came in, which was they felt like they were being overmanaged with these reshoots.
And I think it had kind of worked for Rogue One. They brought Tony Gilroy in to help out Gareth Edwards / take over from Gareth Edwards.
And he stayed around and played ball still.
Yeah. Gareth Edwards played ball. That's the difference here. And I think, and Chris Lord and Phil Miller, they said, is that right? Did I say that?
Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
It's interchangeable. It's fine. I think
Lord and Miller, they just, they're auteurs. They have a DNA. They don't want people fucking with their creative vision and what they wanted to achieve with this film.
Well, there's a bit of hearsay here as well. There's a lot of rumors around this. I don't know. We'll never know the exact story, I feel. But some reports are saying that they really clashed with Lawrence Kasdan, the writer, over this because they're all about improvisation and getting the funny take or whatever. And he's like, no, stick to the script.
Yeah.
And supposedly he was real pissed off about all this because he went to bat for him at the beginning and said, these are the guys I want for this.
And
this is the guy who wrote Empire and stuff.
Yeah, and he wrote The Force Awakens with J.J. Abrams. And people aren't talking about the fact that before the directors were chosen, Lawrence Kasdan went ahead and said, this is my last Star Wars film. This is my swan song. Mm-hmm. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's saying, Lawrence Kasdan, writer of Empire Strikes Back, main contributor to some of the best Star Wars films. This is his last one, and he's feeling precious about it. He's feeling particular about it. He wants it done in a certain way. The problem with this whole thing is I can't understand why Lucasfilm didn't establish how these guys were going to be putting together their movie because they have a particular style. Yeah. Look at 21 Jump Street. Look at Lego Movie. Those were destined to be failures. When I heard the Lego Movie was going to come out, I thought, fuck me. This is going to be a pile of garbage upon garbage. And holy shit, did they blow it out of the park.
Yeah, man. Each of their 4 movies, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the 2 Jump Street films, and the Lego Movie, on paper is a really bad idea, or at least incredibly uninspiring. But with each of them, they were able to do something phenomenal.
And that's, to be honest, that's really the only thing that I was looking forward to in terms of this film.
Yeah, we're on record as saying that very much. So is the only thing that was really keeping our interest in this. Again, it seems like a terrible idea, a Han Solo prequel story.
Yeah.
Is the fact that Lord and Miller were making it.
And I mean, it's not that this film has done anything necessarily wrong. Like I think they've got the right cast for it. I think they've got a good writer for
What
it.
about that Donald Glover guy? He's the worst.
Oh, God damn it. I like Childish Gambino though.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good.
Yeah.
No, look, there's nothing that really stands out about this film to make it interesting apart from them. And I feel like that was their biggest asset that they've now thrown down the toilet.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The Han Solo prequel idea from day one just stank of just money-grabbing bullshit. And the fact that they brought on Lord and Miller, I was like, wow, these guys, they're going to do it. They're going to actually make this Han Solo thing work because they're going to trust Lord and Miller. They're going to trust these guys' sensibilities.
Yeah.
They've been able to do the undoable. And they're going to do it with Han Solo.
And we're going to get a Star Wars film that isn't like every other Star Wars film, something like really different to expand the universe a bit.
And that's the main thing. I wasn't even sure that this movie was going to work, but I was pretty damn sure it was going to be interesting.
Yeah.
That was the main thing. Like, this movie was going to be different. It was going to bring a bit of variety into, the Star Wars universe is not a boring universe, but it's a lot of the same.
But the thing is that Lucasfilm, they think there's a style guide. I think Kathleen Kennedy is afraid of not adhering to that Star Wars style guide, and I don't think Lord and Miller were. I think they were really pushing the envelope. But how much would they have pushed that envelope? Would it have started off, in space, and then a spaceship comes along? Yes. And would it have the amazing Star Wars music? Yes.
No, they were directly contradicting Star Wars canon what they were doing.
Yeah, well,
they're ruining the continuity.
That was a whole other thing. Well, that was a whole other thing. Is I'd actually heard differently to what you said about the dailies. What they were seeing these dailies, and Lawrence Kasdan was like, these guys are not adhering to the script at all. Like, what is all this improvisational stuff? And then there's also rumors that Alden Ehrenreich, who's playing Han Solo, was actually the liaison to go to the guy to go to Kathleen Kennedy, or the producer who was on deck in London supervising, and say, this shit's getting weird, man. Han Solo's doing some crazy shit, very much. Doing some funny stuff. I'm doing like stuff that doesn't feel like Han Solo on set. So that's interesting. Like, how far were Lord and Miller pushing the envelope? How funny were they trying to make Han Solo? What would this film have been? I'm so even more fascinated to see this film after this has all gone down, because the prospect of that is so interesting to me.
Yeah, it's just another one of those cases where we're never going to see the movie that we want to see.
Yeah, and we'll never know this is the problem. We'll never know if this was the right decision, unless this movie comes out amazing. Which at this point I'm not holding my breath for, because and don't get me wrong, Ron Howard's a great director, or at least he was.
He can be sometimes.
He can be. Yeah. Well, he's not. I don't think he's a bad pick to helm a studio film, but he's not interesting, and he'll do what Kathleen Kennedy tells him to do, and we'll get, possibly another Rogue One.
Okay, so this whole Ron Howard thing has a whole other part, like a legality element to it. So, the Directors Guild of America, when you fire a director on a production, you can't bring in somebody who's already a part of the production as a director. So I think Lawrence Kasdan wanted to take over and direct. But because he's credited as a writer, he can't do that. So they have to get in a third party to come in. So Ron Howard is almost like a goodwill PR move. And Kasdan will be this will be directed by Kathleen Kennedy, Ron Howard, and Lawrence Kasdan.
What did they promise him?
Part of it, because it's not technically just a solely U.S. Production, so they could have loopholed it through the overseas production. So it was still there. Like, if they had really wanted to put him in as director,
I'm sure, but Lucasfilm will adhere to the formula, man.
Yeah.
So I haven't gone through the list, all throughout history, but there's a lot of examples of directors being fired off films, and I can't think of any where we've gotten like a great film out of it. Like the closest one this feels like is maybe Richard Donner's Superman 2, which he was removed from. That's probably one of the better examples. I think people kind of remember that film pretty fondly. But I just don't see this film becoming great at this point.
No.
Like I never necessarily expected it to be. I've been pretty skeptical of it from the beginning, but I feel like this is going to just turn out to be okay. Just another goddamn Rogue One, which I think is so much worse than a great film or a disaster. I will take an interesting disaster from Lord and Miller over another Rogue One.
Yeah,
it's going to be a Rogue One, as in grey, bland, boring.
That's one opinion of that film. Let's not get into a fight about this again.
Go listen to our Rogue One review. We have, got our thoughts out.
But to be honest, that we were pretty harsh on it in our.
I am harsh on it. I am harsh on it.
But I think it's really easy to criticize a film like that.
I think Star Wars fans really like Rogue One.
Well, half of them do, and half of them don't.
But I don't understand. The thing that bothers me about this whole thing is I don't understand why Lucasfilm have to bring in the second director. Like, why can't a film just have a director? Why can't they just execute the vision, put it out there, move forward?
Because Kathleen Kennedy's risk averse. I can just imagine
this is so
her
risky, though.
seeing
This is
this
huge.
and being like, this is too far from, as you said, the style guide. This is too far from safe. I'm going to back out on my original plan to make this a bit new and fresh. Like, I need something that's going to make me $1 billion. And then she caved.
But this is like such a crazy move. Like this is the biggest news story to drop in forever. This is everywhere. Lord and Miller have so much good faith in the film community. Everyone loves them. Like things must have been crazy for them to actually pull the trigger on this, because everyone like hates Lucasfilm right now. Not everyone. A lot of people are on their side or whatever. But yeah, man, I want to know what happened.
Yeah, I would love to have seen a fly on the wall documentary about this all transpiring. But
maybe we'll get it one day.
I mean,
it'll be better than the Han Solo film. That's for sure.
So let's take a look at what Ron Howard. So Ron Howard's in the hot seat now. Okay, moving forward, Lord and Miller, they're gone. See you later. They might be going on to do The Flash. That's a whole other story. Imagine if DC pick up Lord and Miller and they fucking do The Flash and it's a home run. Oof.
Just on that note, so that's The Flash that they wrote a script for, which was then discarded for a page one rewrite after they kind of left the project. And so now maybe they're being courted again. Insane.
Imagine if that happened. That would be crazy. Yeah. But that's a whole other story.
So Ron Howard's on, and they're still at this point sticking to the release date.
Yes.
Of May
which
2018.
Is May, which is like 11 months away.
Yeah. And interestingly, Ron Howard has come out and said to the effect of, I'm going to keep the original vision for this film. I imagine as much as is reasonable.
The original vision being Lawrence Kasdan's.
Yeah, so that essentially means erasing everything.
Yeah.
Lord Miller did, I guess.
The indication that I got from the quote he made was that he was going to try and stay faithful to, at least in some sense, Lord and Miller's.
He got you, Connie. He bamboozled you. That's what they wanted. Hiring Ron Howard is such a PR thing because he's such a nice dude. He's like the Tom Hanks of directors.
He'll just literally say everything right.
Yeah. He's so charming.
Everything's going to be all right.
With that little Arrested Development voiceover of his.
And he's probably getting bank for this.
Oh,
Tony Gilroy got $5 million for his contribution over 5 weeks to Rogue One.
Hey.
So Ron Howard would be on some serious dough. So let's break this down. I've been thinking about this. So the main problem here that seemed to be was the way that Han Solo was being portrayed. Han Solo himself, like everything else seemed to be going smoothly, like the plot, those other elements.
So this is a brand awareness thing.
What do you mean?
They're like, we got to protect the Han Solo brand.
Yes.
Well, but that's part of it. But they also said quite specifically that the camel that broke the camel that broke the straw's back, the straw that broke the camel's back was that when they took all those individual scenes and pasted them together, Kathleen Kennedy looked at it and said, "This doesn't fit together. Like this doesn't make sense."
Okay.
So it's not just Han Solo, the character. It's also the way that the film was pieced together. It wasn't cohesive enough.
Because I'm thinking about the nature of these reshoots. Is it just going to be Alden Ehrenreich, by himself, and they'll splice it together with the stuff from Lord and Miller, with Donald Glover, with Emilia Clarke, what is the nature of these reshoots? How much is going to change? How much is it, second unit stuff, or how much is it just Alden Ehrenreich on a green screen and they'll just insert him in?
I hope it's Fantastic Four style, where every second scene he just has a crazy wig on. There's nothing like his hair in the other scenes.
Oh my god, that is a good parallel for another film that had this kind of
But this is how unprecedented
awful
this
production.
is. They still have another 3.5 weeks of principal photography, not even just reshoots. Like that's, bizarre.
But I guess the question I'm asking you guys is, how much do you think this film is going to change, and do you think that it's still going to have that? I guess at the beginning they kind of said it's going to be a Western. It's going to be a heist film. It's going to be a bit of a comedy. Do you think it'll be able to execute those things? Do you think it's going to be a good film?
That depends entirely on if they stick to that release date, I think. Because if they do, which they're going to have to, because they've got episode, whatever we're up to, 8, down the pipe very shortly afterwards. And
episode 8's coming out this year, December. And then Solo May.
Yeah.
And then they haven't got anything until
9, yeah. Because supposedly a lot of the crew from this are going to be moving on to that, so they can't really delay them that way, or they just get other people, I guess. But
right.
But then if they stick to that release date, there's only so much they can do to change what's already in the can. Like they've been shooting for months.
Yeah, they've got 3.5 weeks left of photography, and then they've got 5 weeks built in. Reshoots.
Yeah.
So that's 8.5 weeks.
So that was always scheduled.
So that's 8.5 weeks of filming to go.
Yeah.
And in total, it'll be a 6-month shoot. So
to your final question, no, I don't think it'll be a good film.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the fact that I'm not interested in this property. Like we're not the Star Wars property, but the Han Solo backstory. Like I don't care.
Yeah, if I was sitting in the room as Lord and Miller got up to leave, I'd be like, I'm going with those guys.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to see what their next project is. I'm not interested in the Han Solo thing. I was here for them. See ya.
And you know what? Maybe they did enough that their stamp on this, or enough of their kind of wacky brand, is so imprinted in this film that you will get something out of it that's interesting. It might be a bit of a mess, but it might be interesting. And that's probably what I'm hoping for, I guess, at most. But there is no version of a kind of Ron Howard cookie cutter Star Wars spin-off film that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
I think if the script is as good as it supposedly is, which who knows what that means. That's what they say about every script out there. But supposedly, people say this Lawrence Kasdan script is amazing. It's a fantastic Han Solo script. I'd also love to see, a great script directed by Ron Howard. I think Ron Howard's perfectly capable of making a fantastic movie with the right material. But this will just always be that kind of Edgar Wright Ant-Man, what could have been.
Yeah.
But fortunately, Ant-Man turned out great.
Yeah, I ended up absolutely loving that. That was a really...
But he was there from day
example.
one. Like, it wasn't this kind of relationship.
Yeah, like how could this movie possibly be put together at this point? Like, how could this become a cohesive thing?
See, my thing is I think that you said this could turn out to be interesting, Connor. And I think Rogue One is not an interesting film. I don't think it provokes anything in me. It doesn't stir anything in me. It leaves me, meh.
Even as a case study for a project that sort of went off the rails, it's not interesting.
Yeah,
like Fantastic Four is the interesting version of that. Rogue One is just boring in every facet.
But I think, finishing this off, I think that it's sad that Star Wars is going down this path. This was always the risk with when the acquisition happened by Disney. This was always the risk, and I hope that this doesn't continue, because I thought Rogue One was a meh. I really hope The Last Jedi is great, but I guarantee you 110%. I'll put $1 on it right now.
Oh, shit.
It will be as much Empire Strikes Back is as The Force Awakens was A New Hope. Guaranteed.
Wait, in
Guaranteed.
plot or in
Just
reception?
in the same way. In the same way that for The Force Awakens was like A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and
again,
The Last Jedi will
clarify,
have
are
the
you
same
talking
kind
about,
of
like,
relationship.
Plot? Or are you
In
talking
the way,
about
that makes sense, right? In the way that The Force Awakens was
Like a reboot,
A
like
New
it's a
Hope.
requel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the way that it was a spiritual remake sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 8 will be like
Empire Strikes Back.
And yeah, I mean, that's interesting to hear you say that. I feel like you've spent many long nights going over this and thinking.
I have.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think it
Yeah.
absolutely will be.
100%.
That's a bummer.
It's not going to be a risk. It'll have interesting stuff in there, but we're going to see AT-AT walkers. We're going to see AT-AT walkers, attacking a rebel base. We're going to see the Yoda-Luke relationship mirrored in Luke and Rey. The training. We're going to see, more revealed about. It's just going to be the same. We're going to see the same stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say this is probably going to be Rian Johnson's least interesting film, but then I remembered The Brothers Bloom, which I did not like very much. So.
Yeah, so
But yeah, it's not going to be.
I'm calling it. I'm calling it now.
And are you saying that as a bad thing?
No, because I really like The Force Awakens. I would like them to push the envelope a little bit more with the next one. I wanted The Last Jedi to carve out its own niche and become its own thing. But, a trilogy does have to adhere to a formula. The dark middle chapter, the Empire Strikes Back of the thing. That's the comparison everyone's going to make. So it's going to be easy to make. But I think, as I said, as much as that relationship happened with those two films, the same will be with this new release.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, that was a big first one. Let's move on to our second one.
Said we prepared everyone for that.
Yeah.
Big story.
All right, number 2. Sony has come out and confirmed that the Spider-Man spin-offs will tie into the MCU. Now, they've been fairly vague about how exactly they'll tie in, but I think it might be retroactively. It's very confusing, and it kind of flies in the face of some hints last week about Kevin Feige saying that, at the very least, Venom will be completely separate. Like, it's not going to be part of the MCU.
This makes complete sense if you look at it. The people who have nothing to gain from these spin-offs, Marvel, Feige, the MCU, they're like, yeah, no, we don't really want to be associated with that. Whereas the Sony people, Amy Pascal, they're like, yeah, we're part of the MCU. We're right in that big juggernaut. We're part of that quality good stuff. Accept us, please. Because Kevin Feige.
How good was that interview with him and her?
Yeah.
And he was like that Ben Affleck.
Yeah. Did you see the Hello Darkness, my old friend?
It was so good. It was so
just
good.
Feige sitting there as Amy Pascal is describing how it's all connected. It's all part of the.
He's just
MCU.
like,
and he's
what
like,
are
he's
you
like,
saying?
Oh God, what have I done? This is going to be the thing that sinks me.
I fucked it up.
Yeah, because his comments were very vague. Hers are very not vague. They're like, yeah, this is going to be part of the thing.
Well, they're vague, just in a different sense. Like, they're vaguely saying we're together, and his is vaguely. It's like a weird relationship.
It's like a
Where one
parasite latching onto this other being, and it's gradually getting bigger and like able to like steer the course of where it's.
So it's like a symbiote.
Yeah.
Sony's just
makes-
creeping
it
up.
just makes me-
Yeah.
I have a feeling that like it might get to the point where Feige might allude to the fact that someone should be taken out, and it might just magically happen.
Whoa.
Or that maybe that's a bit dark.
That's dark.
Oh God.
Fair call.
Anyway, that's been the top 2, guys.
Yeah.
This is. Of course, this was going to be the case. There's no way they could have made these movies and had them completely separate from, first of all, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And
therefore,
Spider-Man's part of the thing. So it just makes
MCU.
complete sense. And I'm fine with it. Spider-Man can have his own little corner. He's kind of a special case in the MCU.
Whoever has been spearheading like Sony's ability to build productions with, like, just to be able to connect this and make this happen with Marvel is insane and needs to be commended for a long time. Well, from Sony's perspective, because
they failed franchise after failed franchise. How do they keep? Why do they want to?
That's what I'm saying.
So hard?
That's what
God
I'm saying. It's like how were they able to coerce Marvel? I guess money. They must be splitting this.
Well, Marvel would have wanted Spider-Man.
Of course.
They would have bent right over to get Spider-Man back. And
Do you
then-
reckon? Do you reckon? I
Yeah.
think Marvel have the upper hand in this relationship.
Absolutely.
They have the
But-
leverage.
But Spider-Man is the biggest and most popular character in the MCU, and they only just got him in there.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how much are Marvel going to Marvel still own the merchandising rights to Spider-Man, so
Yeah.
So it's in their interest to be able to keep making good Spider-Man movies.
And
And,
they've
Sony was not interested in doing that.
Yeah, they've just
it's
looked
very
at
true.
Sony and been like, "Aw, did you hurt your Spider-Man franchise?"
But
Let
as
us
bad
help
as
you.
those go, you know, like Spider-Man is still making a mozza. It's still selling a bunch of toys.
But Sony's just doing everything they fucking can to tank it. I don't get. They should have just relinquished all control and let Feige run everything. Like everything they were doing with the Amazing Spider-Man series, they're doing again. They're trying to work towards this Sinister Six movie that no one's asking for. They've
Yeah.
got a Black Cat Silver Sable spin-off.
Yeah.
They're probably going to start announcing another Aunt May movie that
Yeah.
they were looking into when those email fucking hack came out.
Get us an Aunt May movie.
What are they doing with this? Just Homecoming alone, they've released like 45 minutes of this film.
Really?
Every day there's a new clip. Every day I log on to bloody YouTube and there's just more and more of this movie on
Wow.
there. I'm like, I can't watch any of this.
I'm avoiding it all because it is just everywhere.
It's great. Sony, just chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
You're in such a good position right now. Like apparently Homecoming is testing fantastically. It's meant to be
okay,
really
is it?
good. Yeah.
Okay, cool,
They
cool.
should just sit back and let the money roll in.
Yep. Yeah.
No, they're gonna try and co-op this this venture because I reckon they can just taste that early Spider-Man success.
Yeah.
They can just be like, "Oh, we can do it again. If this is successful, this makes a mozza, and then maybe we'll take the universe back."
Stop saying mozza. It's weirding me out.
It's my word of the week.
Yeah, but no,
Deal with it.
apparently they're already looking into developing a Mysterio film and a Craven the Hunter film.
Yeah.
What
Because
the hell?
why the
I'm-
fuck
I'm-
not?
my hands are up in the air. Okay.
Yeah. Let me describe to you the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Did you guys hear about the fact that in Homecoming 2 that there's going to be another MCU character in there as opposed to Iron Man?
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
so they must have struck a sweet deal
Yeah.
for everyone. Really, this really helps everyone.
Yeah. Who's it going to be? Thor?
No,
Hulk?
that's literally the least likely one out of all of them. I mean, the one that jumps to my mind immediately, which is impossible, would be Daredevil, because those two hang out all the time in the comics, which would be really sick. I mean, they're both right there in New York.
Shit.
Perfect. I would love that.
That
very
would be
much.
so good.
Yeah. Hulk is another one who interacts with him a lot. That could be cool.
Yep.
Otherwise, Captain America and him kind of have a cool little relationship
Yeah.
from Civil War.
Yeah.
Could be interesting to see.
Isn't our friend Chris Evans hanging up the shield as well?
after Infinity War 2.
That changes every 6 months.
Yeah.
He's made some comments about it.
He's contractually done after Infinity War 2.
Yeah.
That doesn't really mean one way or the other too much.
Yeah. He changes his mind all the time.
But we've
though,
talked
as
about
you would.
before our predictions, and more so your prediction, Ben, that he'll be the character that gets killed off at the end of the first Infinity War, or the first or Avengers 3, whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah, half of my prediction is, though, that he comes back at some point.
Okay. I see.
as Unicorn
As
America
a
Captain.
Beautiful
Man.
Captain America unicorn.
In other news surrounding Spider-Man and Sony, we've confirmed that Carnage will be the villain in the Venom feature.
Oh, so that's a massive surprise. Who would have thought? Venom and Carnage.
Cletus Cassidy.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Who would have thought?
Fucking
We got to put it in there.
Well, yeah, of
Got to
course
tell
we
the
do.
people.
We got to.
Carnage is just some, it's Venom is some 90s comic book bullshit. Carnage is that even more to the extreme. It's just,
Generation X.
yeah, Venom crossed with Joker. It's,
Yeah.
they could do something interesting with it, but they won't.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Number 3. Who wants more Watchmen?
Who will watch more Watchmen?
Depends.
So-
Depends.
It's been announced that Damon Lindelof, who did Lost and The Leftovers, is in talks to helm a series by HBO concerning the Watchmen, around the Watchmen.
And he also did Prometheus. So there you go.
Yeah.
Get that in your your brains, people, because that's who's going to be fucking with Watchmen.
That's one thing on his resume. He's done a lot of good stuff, Lindelof.
He has.
Yeah, The Leftovers just wrapped up. I haven't finished it myself, but it's a really cool show. And
From what
everyone's-
you've seen, it's been pretty good.
it's sick, man. Yeah, and it's really up his alley because it's not about delivering answers. It's just
Thank
allowed to be
God.
something interesting, and it's its own kind of format. It's not having a bunch of nerds crave. We need the answers, and everyone seems very happy with how it's ended.
Yeah.
So he's clearly capable of delivering a solid TV series, if allowed to. Do his
Questions
own thing.
questions for you guys. Okay, have you read the Watchmen graphic novel? And if you have, is it your favorite graphic novel ever? Because if it isn't, I'm going to have to hurt you. And I'm switching off the podcast.
yes, George. Yes to both.
I haven't watched it, but it is my favorite graphic novel. So there you go.
You haven't watched it, but you.
All right, sorry, I haven't read it, but
Okay,
but it
yeah,
is
yeah,
still
yeah.
my favorite graphic novel.
It's comic book, so you kind of can watch it.
Yeah.
You just got to read at the same time.
I have a friend that watched it, or keep saying watched it. That read it.
I watched that
Yeah.
that book, man. It was so good.
They read it years ago, and he's been pretty much telling me to read it ever since.
Yeah, you should.
And I know I should, but
Because do you know why? Because that is one of the best uses of the medium of the graphic novel. It is such a nicely put together piece. It's not just a just a by the numbers Marvel comic. It uses the panels and the page and the text to create this incredible, dense, amazing story. That is just an incredible graphic novel. And so that leads me on to the next question is, have you guys seen the Zack Snyder movie?
Yes.
And what did you think about that?
Zack Snyder.
Coming to it from someone who has not read the comic, I thought it was a cool film. Yeah,
Connor's
pretty
classic descriptor.
Yeah,
it was cool.
I can't even imagine watching the film without having read it. It feels like such a companion piece to me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I, on the whole, I dig it. I feel like it doesn't get the comic in a lot of ways, and a lot of it works kind of against what the comic's trying to do. But I really enjoy it as a companion piece to the comic. It quietly put the jacket on. And in fact, a couple of years ago, I sat down and I watched the 4-hour version.
Yeah.
Which like that's an effort.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed it. It was just he just copies the comic
Yes.
panel for panel, and when that works fantastically.
It's a valiant effort.
That Dr. Manhattan chapter is
Yeah, that's cool.
transcendent. It's
Yeah,
brilliant.
very
It's so
cool.
good, yeah.
I think I actually really, really like the Zack Snyder Watchmen. I think it's really great. And if you come at it as a companion piece to the graphic novel, it's a really cool film. I guess the main
gorgeous.
problem
It's
is
so
you
gorgeous.
can never get that density that's in Watchmen in
Yeah,
the
totally.
format of a film. So the fact that they're going ahead and doing a TV series is encouraging, because you can have more of that character, density and
Well, you can explore themes.
yeah, exactly. Explore
So
the
themes
characters
in a movie that has to kind of
Exactly.
be constrained within 3 hours at the very, at the maximum.
Exactly.
You often have to either
Compromise so much.
Well, you compromise. So you either have to just not address certain themes that are in a book or or a graphic novel, or you have to just kind of touch and allude upon them, and that's where it becomes a companion piece that people that have read it know what that's alluding to. But a TV show, you can spend an entire episode exploring a certain theme, or several episodes teasing out several themes at once. It's so much more suited to that.
Just in
I
terms
love
of
teasing out
content,
themes.
just in terms of content, there is so much stuff in the graphic novel that never made it to the big screen.
Logistically, they
Yeah.
couldn't.
Yeah, no, of course. And then there's like huge chunks of just of text, of prose in there, and that all has so much stuff you could do. And it takes place over decades and decades. There is enough there. Just not even including the Before Watchmen series from the last couple of years. Have you read it? That's a no.
The classic George.
speak.
The classic George hating something before he's seen it.
Yeah, you know me.
So
King of hyperbole.
just
and irrational thoughts.
just the graphic novel alone, I think you could make 3 seasons of TV.
Yeah.
There's all HBO 10 episode seasons, and HBO. It's HBO. It's not TV.
Yeah.
It's HBO. So that's also. I don't know. I can't. seems like all good news to me.
I hope that Lindelof is the right guy. I think the fact that they're going with a TV series, as I've already said, is cool. I am interested for what direction they go for in terms of production design and the look of it, because as you said, Zack Snyder basically just copy-pasted out of the graphic novel. And where they're going to go...
Not in terms of the look, though.
I think the look is pretty damn accurate.
No way. The graphic novel is so plain, and that's kind of the point of it, is just really like, these are just guys in suits. The movie's fucking Batman v Superman, like hardcore slow-mo.
I mean more in like the look and the cinematography and like how the
framing of the
shots. Are we
shots.
going to see like Rorschach coming into the building at the beginning? Like how is that going to look?
Well, yeah, I mean,
is it going to be more? Is it going to be the same kind of look? Like are we going to get the same silhouettes and the same framing, or is it going to be more of a gritty look? Is it going to be more handheld?
It can't be more gritty. What are you talking? It can't be more gritty than the Snyder version.
Of course it can.
No
way.
It's
so slick.
It's literally they just like put dirt on
slick.
It can't be more gritty than the goddamn meat cleaver going to that guy's forehead.
They're literally going to smear grit
onto
gritty as in the camera.
I mean gritty as in like the handheld. Like maybe more of a Lars von Trier, handheld.
Yeah.
What is that? What is it actually going to look like? That's what I'm interested about.
Yeah. Well, there's no way it's going to be more faithful than the movie. I think. I think it'll be much more an adaptation than the film was. I think Lindelof would seek to kind of do something a little different with it.
There's a good chance that it will be everything that Game of Thrones is to the book, as this will be to the graphic novel.
Yeah, which I don't think many people would complain about. Most people are happy with
that's a good analogy,
Carl.
Thank you.
It's an apt
10
one
points for Gryffindor.
Because he's a Gryffindor.
What? I'm not.
What would you? Yeah, no, I think you would be Gryffindor.
Thank you, George.
No way.
What would he be? He's not smart enough for Ravenclaw. I could make it into Ravenclaw, bitch.
Sorry, which one of us has the science degree? How far did you get in your science degree?
Fuck you. Science degree. I got a science degree. That means I'm smarter than you.
I reckon Ravenclaw, you're clever and emotionally detached and
emotionally detached.
Yeah. Or Slytherin, you're cunning and mean.
Slytherin, just a dick.
Be ambitious. If anyone's Slytherin, it's you, George.
You're a sneaky snake. What was I saying? Anyway,
you know what? I'm gonna step it up a notch. You're a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, fuck that. A fun guy. I'm a fun guy. I think HBO really is looking to fill that Game of Thrones hole that they're going to have soon.
Yeah.
And not just with like the 15 Game of Thrones prequels they're working on. So this could be cool. If this hits, this could be a really cool...
Can I do a side note about the different houses in Harry Potter?
No. Sick of talking about Harry Potter.
George, do you want to do this?
Yeah, go for it.
I was I finished the books recently, and I noticed that if you think about the main Gryffindors, none of them really should, apart from maybe Harry Potter, none of them should be in Gryffindor. If you think about it, Hermione should definitely be in Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
Neville should definitely be in Hufflepuff.
Isn't it addressed in the book?
Yeah, aren't they like they've got brave hearts?
Doesn't someone specifically ask or something? It's like shouldn't there?
Well, there's the whole thing like you can choose.
And there's
a
thing, you go where you want to go.
But it's just another thing going off Harry Potter is I saw this meme the other day and it was like, why didn't Fred and George see that Ron Weasley was sleeping with Peter Pettigrew?
On the Marauders map.
On the Marauders map.
Yeah.
You know what? Wizard kind, they've got different values, man. They're cool with that kind of shit.
Clearly. What exactly is the function of a rubber duck?
I like to imagine that they knew and they just didn't want to tell him because it's funny.
They were the trolls of the Harry Potter series. Anyway, what are we up to number?
I'm glad that we got to do that little.
What are we up to, like number one? We were going slow on this episode. This is an omnibus episode.
This is going to start getting a lot faster from this
This one is a short one anyway. So number 4 is Scarlett Johansson has said that in a scene in Avengers Infinity War, there's around 30 characters, which is, it's notable because I can't think of any other series or show or movie that has had 30 prominent characters in a scene. Like that's just fitting them in is insane.
I really hope it's another like
airport scene.
No, fuck that. A fight. That's boring. I really hope it's just another party like in Age of Ultron. I could have watched that party for 2 hours. Screw everything else. That was the best.
What's the chances that it's 27 of them are individually shot on individual green screens?
100%.
Yeah, there's no way
Hobbled
they're
them
getting-
together in post.
Yeah, they're just gonna get 30 of the biggest movie stars in the world. Just be like, we could use you for a couple days to shoot this one scene.
It's so funny, like the modern movie system. It's so interesting how these films are put together.
They did it for Civil War.
They
to their
did.
credit, which is amazing.
They did.
Do you know what I think it might be? Feige just sends out these letters to people like, you are cordially invited to a day of shooting or you are fired from the MCU. And you watch 30 big blockbuster...
Rock up.
Yeah, they will rock
Downey
up. Be like,
Jr.'s first one
don't
there.
cut me from the MCU.
I feel like 15 people would show up and 15 people would be like, yes, I'm out of my fucking contract. I don't have to do the next 12 movies.
And then 18 months later, they're like, man, I need that money.
Yeah.
Man, I tried going over to the DCU. Things are not good there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be massive. Infinity War. We're going to see the Guardians team up with the Avengers. We're going to see Thanos.
That
We're
brings
gonna
the
see-
total to what, like 13, 14?
Ant-Man. Captain America.
Let's count them.
Yeah.
1 to 32. Let's go.
Iron Man and Captain America. Hulky.
Basically, to get 30 people in a scene, that's going to be pretty much every superhero that they have in that.
I heard it was 60 in total.
60 characters.
60 characters.
Yeah, in the film. And then just
That's
one scene has
crazy.
30,
Yeah.
32, she said, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm.
No, it's a nice little. It's interesting. I'm very interested to see how it'll pan out.
Yep.
So we'll see. Number 5, the great Daniel Day-Lewis has announced that he's retiring from acting at the age of 60 with only 21 film credits under his belt.
Wow. 21 film credits.
Well, yeah, so this is like, if he sticks to it, that's a pretty big deal, I guess. Although, at the rate he makes movies, we only would get like 4 more or something out of him.
Yeah.
But we got one more later this year. Thank God it's a Paul Thomas Anderson film, Phantom Thread.
Well, what's the...
Can you imagine if it was just a shitty film? Like how much of a...
that's normally how it goes, but...
It's about the fashion industry, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I remember reading about that now.
20th century, something.
Yeah.
Well, that's...
Pretty amazing career.
He's one of the best. No one would deny that. I think he's like the method guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fucking
And the
method
reason
guy.
why he has so few films under his belt is how much he commits to his roles. It takes a piece of him when he commits to a role. Like he puts so much into it emotionally. I just think he's one of those pure artists.
Yeah. Well, he's been working towards retirement, it seems, for a while. I remember one director saying they found him. He's off being a cobbler somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they just had to go get him and be like, "No, come on, come be an actor again." So yeah, only time will tell whether this is like a Steven Soderbergh, retirement
He's away
air
for
quotes.
36 months. And
Yeah, and it was working the entire time
Yeah.
on other films. But I would not be surprised if he really sticks to it.
Yeah.
Just to his
I know
next
what
I think
thing.
he's that
is.
kind of guy, man.
I know what this is. His next movie is going to be playing a retired guy.
Yeah. Doing hardcore
Mystery
But
solved.
research.
evidently he's got chronic back problems, and it's an actual like physical.
Debilitating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he can't.
I mean,
perform-
surely he'd
can't
have
act
enough
without a
money
back.
to retire on and not have to like work
Yeah.
another day in his
Maybe.
life.
I don't know how big his paychecks would be. I guess like he's got enough clout to ask for a lot, but with only 21 movies over the course of his entire career.
But the films he's
interesting
in,
to know.
yeah,
I mean, he never did any blockbusters. He never sold out,
No.
certainly.
I mean, he probably got paid the most for Lincoln. I would have said.
Yeah.
He doesn't strike me as a guy that really goes in for like the expensive lifestyle, though.
No,
Like maybe I'm completely wrong, but
he's just like this
No.
coked up playboy.
never see it coming. He's like,
No, he seems just like such a distinguished artist.
He's looking good for 60.
Yeah, man. I was like, Daniel Day-Lewis is 60. I thought he was early 50s, late 40s. Yeah,
Killing it.
yeah, but like you said, he only does a film like every 5 years, roughly.
Yeah.
I mean, time to crack out. There will be blood. It's been
I
a
was-
few years since
Yeah.
I've watched that.
Oh, man. Oh, that milkshake scene is just the best thing ever committed to film.
That's a good one.
Anyway,
for
I'm
sure.
kind of bummed we'll never see him in the MCU, but that's all right.
But that's it. All right, on to number 6. Jurassic World sequel gets a title and a teaser poster. It's going to be called Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Fallen Kingdom.
Far
There's a
out.
tagline on the poster that teases Jeff Goldblum return. So it says "Life finds a way."
Is that the
Yeah.
line he
It's a
said?
good quote, man. Yeah, man.
What?
That's like
Sorry,
the most
back up.
iconic quote from
I can't tell if
Jurassic
you're
Park series.
Yeah.
Life.
I don't. When
Finds a way.
I think
That's iconic. Second only to his quote.
Yeah. That's the one I connect with.
Yeah, that's the best one.
The profound one. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, so this is a nothing story, but an excuse to talk about the Jurassic franchise.
For Fallen Kingdom, come on,
I know,
guys.
that's so
It's
fucking...
definitely-
Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, out summer.
Is there a release on what the plot is or?
It's
Synopsis?
about a kingdom that has fallen.
Something
Thank you,
more
George.
with BD Wong. They set some seeds in the last movie about, the weaponizing dinosaurs and stuff. I don't know what it'll be exactly.
Yeah.
But Ian Malcolm's going to be in there.
I'm not even slightly ashamed to say I never saw the last film.
You didn't
What
see
you
the
didn't
last
see?
film?
You didn't see
Mm-mm.
Jurassic World?
No, it just didn't. To be honest, it didn't interest me that much.
Huge Jurassic Park fan. I loved those movies so much growing up. Still love them. A big dinosaur fan as a kid. And the last one I did not love. It's probably an understatement. But honestly, I've been kind of bummed out this year with movies, like really bummed out. And remembering back to it, I kind of remember it sort of fondly. Like I didn't hate it. I think I hated the characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
came out last year,
It's
didn't
cool
it?
seeing dinosaurs in there. 2015?
2015.
2015.
Okay, so 2 years ago. Holy shit.
I liked Chris Pratt.
I hated. I think he's the worst character
Really?
ever. I hated him. He was
Why?
like the anti-Star-Lord. He was just this really like fucking humorless, like super competent. He was always right about everything. He's just a badass. I just thought he was so boring. He was the exact way that Chris Pratt should not be used. And I'm like, if Chris Pratt keeps doing shit like this, his career is gonna fucking fizzle out.
I thought he was fine, and I
He
thought
was-
he was one of the best things about the.
Yeah, and it was not a great film. It was fine, but that movie was just weird. Like the way it kept like humiliating Bryce Dallas Howard's character.
Yeah, that
like,
was weird.
Like she was wrong about everything, and he was just always right, being this
Yeah.
badass guy.
Yeah,
It's like it was.
she's running around in heels. Yeah.
Very strange.
I saw a deleted scene just on YouTube, which was him smearing shit on himself and then her going and doing the same, but like in a sexy way. And I think that just kind of sealed
Yeah. It was quite
my
basic.
decision not to see that film.
It was quite basic.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of weird attitudes toward women in that movie. There's this one character who gets like brutally fucking killed in like the worst way anyone dies in the whole Jurassic Park series. And her, like, it's like the movie's punishing her for being a woman who doesn't want kids. Like, she's a woman who doesn't like kids. That's her whole thread in the movie. And she's like a good person, really. And she just gets like fucking thrown about by this pterodactyl and like
Yeah, I
drowned and then
remember that.
eaten
In a
by
kind
a
of like
mosasaurus.
clap way, like, thank goodness
yeah,
that
like
person's
like
dead.
what would be reserved for a villain in most movies, and the villain in that movie dies off screen at the end. Completely, it's insane. It is
Yeah.
like
I'm not
you're
feeling
sitting there,
bad
and it's
about
like
not
it's like
seeing
a
this
2 minute
film.
long scene. It's like what is fucking going on? But yeah, aside from all that nasty shit, I do like seeing dinosaurs on the big screen,
Yeah.
and I have an ILM do that is always
Yeah.
great, and
The effects for the main bad guy was
Yeah.
so good.
But see, this
Yeah.
is the thing.
The
I
main
can always
dinosaur,
just
I love that
Indominus
main-
Rex, yeah,
Indominus Rex. I
sick.
thought that was dope.
Yeah.
I can always just go back and watch the first three. And,
the first
and
one.
happily do it. Or the first one. Like it doesn't really matter.
That's
to
the
me.
only
Like,
one I really, really love. Like I love Jurassic Park.
I like
and
The Lost World a
I
lot.
could put that on any time, and none of the others really.
Jurassic Park
Not
is in my
anything
top
for me.
3
Lost
movies
World
probably
is,
of all
is,
time.
is pretty good. I remember when that came out.
I never liked
just being
it.
in awe.
I never thought it had the same majestic, magical quality.
Most people don't, but I saw it when I was a kid and I've loved it ever since. Like just fucking that T-Rex in San Diego at the end. I'm like, this is everything I've always wanted to see.
Yeah,
My whole
I'm
life.
not into it.
I love it.
Drinking from the pool.
You suck. And then eats the dog.
Loved it. Yeah.
Kill the dog, Spielberg. Anyway, I think this sequel has a lot of potential to be a lot better because it is in no way beholden to the last film. Like this is not one of those franchises. This can change with every movie.
Yeah,
It's got a
yeah.
much more interesting director than that bloody Trevorrow fellow.
Does it
Oh
have
Lord, don't get me started on Trevorrow.
does
Yeah.
it have the same characters in it?
So yeah, I'm pretty
Chris
sure
Pratt is
Chris
back?
Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are bloody back in it, which I'm just not interested in at all. But it's got fucking Jeff Goldblum, so it's like fuck them, put them in the background,
Yeah.
just make him the whole thing.
And then hey, we might get a Independence Day resurrection. Huh?
Anyways,
Right?
I really enjoyed him in that
yeah.
film. I enjoyed every part of that film that he was in.
I believe you.
Yeah, and that movie was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
But
That's what I'm
but you never
talking
watch a
about.
film and
Yeah.
think, oh, I wish Jeff Goldblum wasn't there.
I don't think Jurassic World was anywhere near as bad as
No.
Independence.
I didn't see Independence Day, but I know it wasn't. Just because I
think
have
Jurassic
a third brain.
Park, Jurassic World was a pretty competently made film in most ways. It just wasn't good.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Number 7, David Fincher has been confirmed to direct Brad Pitt's World War Z sequel.
Yes, son, that's how we do it.
Yep.
We can tell who the David Fincher fan here is.
That's the official quote from David Fincher.
Have you both seen the first one?
Yep.
No,
It
I fell asleep.
It was all right.
I liked it.
It was good.
I thought it was fun, yeah.
It was.
Who cares? This is going to be so dope. David Fincher on a big budget film. He hasn't done a big budget blockbuster since Alien 3, where he got screwed over by Fox. Now he's back. I cannot wait for this. Bring it on. David Fincher's last 3 films, The Social Network, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and Gone Girl, have been incredible. This guy's on a roll. Give him anything he needs.
All right. Jesus.
You know,
Do you think he's well suited to this kind of project, though?
He's well suited to any project, man.
100%.
It's David Fincher.
because
But he's got a very distinct style. Like if you go through his, I'm just kind of going through all his catalog. There's a specific style.
they're normally
and a kind of
thrillers. They're
film.
normally psychologically, based. They're quite
The
dark.
tones vary pretty wildly, I think.
But like compare The Social Network to Gone Girl to Seven. They're very different.
He's one of those guys I think who will excel at whatever he
Yep.
tries his hand at.
And that guy, he was single-handedly convinced me that you don't need to shoot a film on celluloid. Digital film looks incredible, and it is in the hand of the guy sculpting the scene to determine how amazing the image is. And he's one of the best, if not the best.
Yeah, man. David Fincher making a zombie movie. I'm so on board with that.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if there was a lackluster film before it at all.
Reteaming with Brad Pitt as well, first time since Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which I think is one of his weakest films.
He's worst. Easily his worst.
Yeah. So that I'm a massive Brad Pitt fan, so bring it on.
He really just took the air out of that one, actually. I forgot about that movie. It's like reteaming with the Curious Case of Benjamin Button guy.
But he also
like,
did
shit.
Seven.
Wait a minute.
What's in the box, man?
What's in the
Reteaming
box?
with the guy that did Fight Club and Seven.
Yeah,
Let's go with
exactly.
that. No,
Why'd you say that?
Well,
God damn.
it was the first time since, but
Yeah.
I mean, these guys will have a second shorthand. That's what I'm trying to say. They'll have a
Yeah.
shorthand. They've worked with each other in the past. This is going to be fucking amazing.
It's a weird announcement too. It's just kind of an offhand comment in an interview.
Yep.
And then like a week later, people started reporting on it. It
Yeah.
wasn't like an official.
Yeah. I don't think the
release.
title is that big. Maybe that's what it is. Like World War Z.
Well, because remember we reported a few months ago that
we talked about it. Yeah.
it had been removed from the slate. So
Yeah.
this movie's kind of like apparently it's being worked on and
I
David
feel
Fincher's
like
involved.
did
but
we
don't know.
talk about who we would like to do this film?
No, because a couple of weeks ago, it was like David Fincher is probably definitely going to do World War Z 2, and now it's in the bag.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about this ages ago. It was David Fincher they were talking about. But yeah, I guess he's locked in. They
Like,
wouldn't
nice.
say it if
I
it wasn't
cannot
true.
wait.
But you're gonna have to, because as I said, there's no release date on this at this point.
But the fact that he signed on the dotted line,
They must have given him a lot of freedom
Hopefully.
or a lot of money.
because
One of
Fincher, Fincher's most famous thing is the fact that he does an enormous amount of takes on set. That opening scene in The Social Network between Mark Zuckerberg and Rooney Mara's character, I think they did upwards of 120 takes of that whole entire piece of dialogue.
That's insane.
This is gonna be another Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Maybe that's why I don't think he could shoot in celluloid.
Well, just because of the cost?
Oh, the cost. Can you imagine?
Yeah, but if you think about all the archiving and stuff for digital, it almost matches because there's so much tech involved with the digital.
Yeah. Oh, maybe. I don't know how much each costs. I just
I
assume
don't
that
know.
the more, yeah. Anyways, moving on. Number 8, Edge of Tomorrow 2. So screenwriter Christopher McQuarrie has revealed that the upcoming sequel will explain the first film's confounding ending.
I believe that's Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat.
Yeah. Whatever that film that we don't know the name of, number 2.
That's the name.
Yeah.
We announced that a couple weeks ago.
Well, we announced that in certain countries it was that. In other countries it was
No.
Edge of Tomorrow 2.
No.
Oh, no. So you're talking about number 2.
Yes, that's what
Okay,
we're
so
talking about.
I think you're still going on about the first one.
No. Yeah, this is called Live, Die,
Okay, I
Repeat,
got you.
Repeat.
Yeah.
Which is a fucking stupid name, but that's all right.
Yep. Well, that's good because that's probably the only thing in that film that is remotely bad is the ending. Is a
Yeah.
little bit like, oh,
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That's exactly what it is. It's like, oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
So
I
on board with this
I
film.
really like this movie so much
Yeah.
that I'm going to be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's, okay,
Let's
all
just
right.
forget that last 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's
We're
fine.
good.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I usually do. I
Yeah.
usually make an excuse to leave the room
Yep.
in that last 3 minutes. And it was like, oh, it's over.
Time for bed.
Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, I'm excited for them to kind of patch that up.
I don't want to see
It's a
what
weird
this film-
announcement to make, though. Like, hey, we're
Yeah.
going to fix that fucked up part in that
Yeah.
last
It's
one.
just an odd way to come at this whole idea. It's like,
Yeah. I'm
seems-
still not
seems-
convinced this whole thing's going to happen.
seems misguided. Yeah, I know. I don't think.
Or that if it does happen, that it'll be good. But
Yeah.
because it feels like this film feels like one of those properties that a studio is going to be like, let's get a sequel because the first one was really successful.
Yep.
And then do a sequel when there's no real necessity for one.
Yep.
And you get your Hangover 2s type films and your Taken 2s. Like the films that had a cool concept, cool premise, cool execution. Let's just drive this into the ground.
They should have just made a fucking Angel of Verdun movie with Emily Blunt. That would have been much more interesting. Like, we don't need to
hell
see
yes.
more Tom Cruise, I think. His character really had his run. That was done.
Honestly, and this film didn't even make that much dough. Like,
Yeah.
why bother? Move on.
Maybe it's because there is a story to be told, maybe. And that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
But,
there is a story. Whether it's good or not, that's a whole other question.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, though. It didn't make a lot of money. Maybe they just want to make another one of these. Maybe they're like, we got more cool
Well,
ideas.
Paramount,
Which is more
I mean,
comforting to me.
What
than,
else did Paramount have?
Yeah,
They've
totally.
got Transformers.
Oh, man, Paramount's
They're
fucking
fucked.
got nothing, yeah.
Star Trek didn't do that great. I love Star Trek Beyond, but it did not do well
No,
at the box
it's not
office.
doing well.
Transformers isn't doing well.
The newest one is, it's open lower. I'm sure it's still going to do fantastically globally.
Probably.
Yeah.
I just want to make it sound bad.
Yeah, everyone
I
does.
don't
Everyone
like
does.
that
Everyone was
movie.
like, "Oh, it's been a declining series." The last one
Yeah.
made like 20 million less than
Yeah.
the third one, and they both made well over $1 billion. So,
All right, let's move on to honorable mentions because I've got one that we didn't write down.
oh shit.
Oh, you're interested in honorable
Yeah,
mentions
I'm
now.
interested in honorable mentions.
This is
now.
interesting. A little insight to the background of these kind of podcasts. George walks in today and goes, "We're not doing honorable mentions." As if he's just dictated this shit to us.
Just after we'd said that we're getting rid of the honorable mentions this
Yeah.
week because they weren't interesting.
Exactly, I was agreeing with you guys. But okay, so the Spierig brothers are currently directing a film that was titled Saw Legacy. So that was the next entry into the Saw franchise, and now it's been retitled Jigsaw. I want to play a game.
Are they the
and
Daybreakers guys?
They're the Daybreakers guys,
Cool.
Aussie guys,
Cool,
Aussie. So I'm really pumped for that. I was a Saw junkie. I went to see them all. I've seen
Wow.
everyone once. I've never gone back
Yeah.
to rewatch them.
That's
We
good.
just go every Halloween would be Saw, and I enjoyed them. I never want to rewatch them ever again.
Yeah.
because it would just ruin everything. Maybe I'd watch 1 or 2 again because those are kind of cool.
I've gone and watched one.
Yeah.
I didn't have any interest in seeing anything beyond that.
Yeah.
Because those
seen
kind of
one as well.
films
Yeah, one I've seen a bunch of times.
are so kind of on the cusp of being interesting films. Like, number one gets away with it because it has that thinly veiled theme of, respect your life and all that kind of stuff. But apart from that, it's just torture porn. That's all it is.
1 was the least guilty of that.
Yeah,
I
and that's
think
what I'm saying. Like, it
3
slides
was
by.
fucked. 3, this one guy dies in the most horrible manner, and it scarred me.
Yeah.
I can't handle it. I haven't seen any of the sequels. I have read kind of synopses of them,
Oh.
like
Yeah,
a
same.
fun little recap of them, because I don't know, just a morbid curiosity. But the first one I did watch because it passed my rule of whether or not I watch a movie is how many actors from Lost are in it, and then I had 2, so that's the minimum. If there's 2 in there, I'll watch it. Yeah, so I watched that one.
So yeah, I have so little interest in like Saw films and Hostel and all that kind of shit.
I always thought Saw was cool because it kind of seemed like 7 light. It was kind of like a more sort of
Light.
fun. It's like a more MTV version of Seven. That's how I kind of always looked at it. And I don't mind very commercial things. I'm not opposed to things being commercial. And I always enjoyed Saw. But as I said, it never was one of those franchises that I was really invested in.
Yeah.
It was just more of a fun little seasonal thing.
This is one of the things that kind of comes up a lot when you talk about Tarantino films, is the use of violence and gore and all that kind of stuff. And I always think that it's justifiable in those kind of films because it serves a purpose and it adds to the story and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, these I felt like they don't really do that. Like this is just for shits and gigs.
Proof, in the first crash, when the girl has her leg hanging out the window and it slices completely off and flies off into the distance. That was really like thematically kind of interesting.
Resonates.
Really added a lot to that Tarantino film. I don't like gore. I don't like violence too much.
Are you gonna go see Jigsaw?
I'm definitely not gonna go
this
see
year.
Jigsaw.
No. We have to go see it.
I'm not gonna go see it. I'm not gonna watch the other 6.
You don't need to watch. We're going to go see. It's for the podcast. I'm sorry. Maybe I say
he's putting his foot down.
Maybe
did I not make myself clear?
We're going to see Saw and we're going to do it.
This is going to be really funny when me and Ben have some weird scheduling thing.
As if you're into horror, you're going to love it.
But that's not horror. It's torture porn. There's a difference.
It's not torture porn.
It's not horror. It's just horrible.
Oh, Jesus.
The Spirit Brothers. The Spirit Brothers will do something good with it.
What it is.
Spirit Brothers will do something good with it.
I don't know about that.
Come on.
That's a stretch. Last honorable mention. We've had a plot synopsis for Lego Movie 2. Most of the characters will return. The whole concept is that everyone has changed except for Emmett. The musical film will spoof the damsel in distress trope after Will Arnett's Lego Batman is hijacked to Finn's sister's room, and Emmett must once again save the day.
God damn.
Really glad that we got that out.
God damn.
It's probably the most important stuff.
Real glad we got that one out there.
Well, that's a bang. Oh, God.
That's the
what
news.
an episode it was.
That's the top 8.
Good stuff.
You got that Ridley quote ready,
Yeah.
Benny? So, guys, that was fun. Hopefully, Han Solo, please God, we will trust in the heart of the cards and hope that Han Solo
a 10
will
out
be
of 10
okay.
or a 1 out of 10?
Hopefully, be
that's in them.
above a 3.5. But yeah, guys, we'll have our review for Transformers: The Last Night up on Tuesday, and we'll have our weekly segment. Question of the week, the groundbreaking segment. You couldn't believe the stuff we come up with. It's out of this world. Anyway, guys, I think we're gonna finish up with a little quote that Ridley Scott came up with this week. Take it away, Benny.
Just some words of wisdom. So he was recently asked in an interview by IGN whether or not the new film is going to answer the age-old debate as to whether Deckard is a replicant. And he had the following to say. Oh, it was always my thesis theory. It was 1 or 2 people who were relevant were, I can't remember if Hampton agreed with me or not, but I remember someone had said, well, isn't it corny? I said, listen, I'll be the best fucking judge of that. I'm the director, okay? So, and that you learn, by then I'm 44 and I'm no fucking chicken. I'm a very experienced director from commercials and The Duelists and Alien. So I'm able to, answer that with confidence at the time and say, back off. It's what it's going to be. Harrison, he was never, I don't remember actually. I think Harrison was going, I don't know about that. I said, but you have to be, because Gaff, who leaves a trail of origami everywhere, will leave you a little piece of origami at the end of the movie to say, I've been here, I've left her alive, and I can't resist letting you know what's in your most private thoughts when you get drunk is a fucking unicorn, right? So I love Beavis and Butthead. So what should follow is duh. So now it will be revealed one way or the other.
Holy shit.
Sharp as attack, that man.
How is no one carting him off to a home by now? Like, surely.
Yeah.
Also, I loved how that was read in the style of Trump.
Was it?
No, I thought that was a really great reading.
No, it was really good, yeah.
What a way to finish it. We'll be back next week. Connor.
Hello.
And Benny.
Yep.
Okay, we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.